This is the Aprilia Tuono. Now, Tuono is a name that is synonymous with raw performance and aggressive styling, which gives it a niche in the realm of street fighters. Every Tuono, from the fire-breathing V4 to the more accessible 660, has lived up to the Aprilia racing DNA and also brought a relaxed riding posture to the mix. This here is the Tuono 457, the most accessible Tuono yet. So is this going to be another vehicle with raw performance and aggressive styling, or is it simply an RS 457 without the fairings? Let's find out.
One glance at the Tuono 457 and it is clear that Aprilia hasn't diluted the formula. Almost. The design takes inspiration from its bigger siblings, just not the current generation of Tuonos. It looks more like its Italian grandpas from the early 2000s.
I think they could have easily gone with a more aggressive styling with the three-pot layout carried over from the RS 457 with a little bit of fairing around it. That would have immediately put it in the same line as the new generation design philosophy for the Tuonos and also given it a clear distinction when compared to the competition.
It didn't really give it any weight savings because the dry weight is exactly similar to the RS 457. They went with this compact unit instead to keep the proportions intact for a sub 500cc street fighter.
The boomerang-shaped LED DRLs, that instantly tells you this is an Aprilia. But there's no denying the fact that it looks like a beefier elder sibling to the Pulsars, Apaches and the Extremes of the world. If you want your Tuono to look beefy, well, don't go with the black and red. I know it's a signature color, looks really sporty, but it also looks quite skinny. If you want a more muscular styling, the white is where it's going to stand out. The white and grey, I think, looks really nice and brings out the imposing stance of this motorcycle. It all looks muscular around the tank and around the tail section. And I think that is really going to go a long distance for the Tuono. The Tuono is definitely going to feel like a step up from the Pulsars or the Dukes. And the riding posture, well, between the legs, it is definitely going to feel like a bigger motorcycle than the KTM 390 Duke or even the paddle twin-engined Yamaha MT-03.
Unlike the fully fed RS 457, the Tuono Street Fighter stance is more upright, with a wider handlebar and a more relaxed rider triangle.
The relaxed handlebar is definitely city-friendly, so for commuting, this is going to be perfect. Even for a little bit of touring, highway riding, etc., this is going to be quite relaxed. But ensuring that it maintains the slanted seating profile from the RS 457 or the rear set foot pegs, that means that when you're attacking corners or even taking it to the track, this is still going to be very sporty to ride.
The slick-looking TFT dash also comes from the RS 457 and maintains all of the functionality as well, including ride mode customization. The switchgear and the levers have a tactile feel to them and scream quality.
The build quality overall feels top-notch, but it's hard not to ignore these inconsistent panel gaps that you see between the three panels that make the tank. And I just hope they don't start creaking with time. Only time will tell. But since I'm nitpicking, I would have also liked some Aprilia branding on the handlebar to remind you that you've made a premium purchase. You do, however, get the Aprilia branding on the TFT, and more importantly, you also get this badge right here on the tank to remind you that Aprilia takes its racing and performance very, very seriously.
Under the skin, the Tuono 457 shares its 457cc parallel twin engine with the RS 457. The power and torque output is the same as well, making it one of the most powerful motorcycles in its class and has an excellent power to weight ratio. But while the numbers are identical to the RS 457, the way this power is delivered is slightly different.
Even though the engine is the same, the specs are the same, the fueling is the same, the rear sprocket is slightly larger, one tooth larger, and that affords it slightly quicker acceleration of the mark, slightly better in-gear acceleration as well. However, even if you were to ride both the bikes back-to-back, the Tuono and the RS 457, you'll not really notice that difference because you see the engine already has a meaty mid-range. Almost 80% of the torque is delivered from as low as 3000 RPM. So pulling quick overtakes, taking that gap in traffic, getting those fast corner exits when you're out in the mountain roads or even on the track, all of that is possible with this amazing engine. So that difference is hardly noticeable. The bike also retains the throaty exhaust note or that growl of the RS 457's motor, and I think it sounds way better than its Japanese rivals. Take a listen. The single-cylinder rivals of this motorcycle are typically high-revving engines, and that really needs you to keep the engine on the boil to really make good progress. The beauty of the parallel twin, of course, is that meaty torque that we keep talking about. So like its Japanese rivals, even this one has excellent city tractability, excellent mid-range torque. But where the racing DNA from Aprilia comes into play is when you really start pushing the motorcycle hard. That engine really comes alive above the 4000 RPM mark. And then when you hit the twisties, that is where you really start enjoying all the meat of that torque. And that is what makes it a hoot to ride. So if you're riding in the city, it's easy, tractable, easy-going power commuter, to put it simply. And when you hit the twisties or take it to the racetrack, it's a completely different beast altogether. And I think around the track, in the hands of a capable racer, it will be on the tail of the RS457 because the engine keeps delivering. The gearing is well spaced, and then you also have the option of putting in a quick shifter to enjoy more spirited rides.
But how does it feel when you start pushing it? Time to find out. Aprilia is known for its incredible chassis engineering, and the Tuono 457 carries forward that tradition.
The stainless steel swing arm, the tubular subframe and the aluminium mainframe, all of that gets carried over again from the RS457, which means that the motorcycle still feels very confident when you're attacking the bends. It doesn't feel twitchy, it doesn't feel skittish at all. So it's going to impart a lot of confidence and still attack the bends even if it's a street naked. And when you're riding it on the streets in the city, the flickability is simply superb. Negotiating those gaps in traffic, attacking those gaps in traffic, zipping through all of that is absolutely easy, just the way it should be for a street fighter.
There's a nice balance between stability and flickability. At high speeds though, the front end can sometimes feel a bit twitchy, but it only adds to the fun and never gets unnerving. Because from what I can see, the Tuono 457 won't really be bought by first-timers. Ideally, it's bought by people who are going to be upgrading from the Pulsars and Dukes of the world. So this kind of character, that slightly twitchy nature, is only going to add to the drama overall. The USD forks and monoshock feel firm, like the RS457, but the upright stance makes the Tuono more forgiving on rough roads. Yet when you start pushing it on twisty roads, it holds its line confidently. The 17-inch wheels with grippy Euro grip tires further boost confidence. The 150 section rear tire does seem to balloon out a little bit, like it does on the RS457 too, so don't bother upsizing. The overall setup is in sync with what you would expect from a Tuono.
Now let's address the pink elephant in the room, the brakes. This is something that we did not really like with the RS457. Aprilia claims that they have made it better over the last 1 year that the RS457 has been out in the market. However, there is still a bit of that spongy feel. There's still a bit of that fade, that lever coming in under hard braking. Of course, you won't notice it that much as you do on the RS457 because you're always in that attacking mode when you're on the RS, and you're also taking it to the track more often. This is more of a street weapon, but even there, the braking definitely could have been better. It's still one of the weak links for this platform.
If you are a rider who often grabs a handful of brakes, then you will have nerve-wracking moments. But riders who are more gentle with the physical brakes and lean more on engine braking will be more at ease. The braking setup is similar to the RS457 then, and one that Aprilia seriously needs to look into. So does this naked 457 deserve the Tuono badge? From my ride today, it certainly seems like it. The impressive features of the RS457 get carried over to the Tuono as well, and is an impressive set for a sub 500cc street fighter at this price. Street fighters are designed to be more practical than their super sport counterparts, and the Tuono 457 follows that philosophy to the T. Heat management seems decent so far, with no excessive heat creeping up in slow moving conditions, but we didn't encounter any stop and go traffic on our ride. The clutch feels light, and the bike pulls cleanly from lower revs, reducing the need for constant downshifts. Pillion comfort should be decent for city rides, but long rides or tours won't be kind on your passenger.
How does it perform on the highway? Well, the beauty of the engine again is that it can easily hold triple-digit speeds without breaking a sweat. Of course, it's a naked, which means that you are going to be battling the wind quite a bit. You're going to be battling the weather quite a bit. Having a small fly screen, maybe from the accessories, is definitely going to help, either from Aprilia or maybe the aftermarket. So if you are going to be doing a little bit of sport touring as well with this motorcycle, that fly screen is something that I definitely recommend.
I estimate the fuel economy figures to be in the 22 to 26 kmpl range, giving it a reasonable tank range. The biggest question is, should you pick this over the RS457 or its rivals? Well, if you prioritize aggressive aerodynamics, sport riding and track day fun, the RS457 will still be the better buy. In fact, I would buy it over the Tuono because I feel it's a nicer package overall. Despite its super sport body style, it isn't extremely difficult to live with. But if the attacking riding stance isn't what you fancy, but still want the punch and the package the RS provides, the Tuono is going to tick all the right boxes for you.
So coming back to the question that we began with, does it feel like an RS457 without the fairing? Yes, it clearly does. That is what it is. And that's not a bad thing, because the RS457 by itself is such an excellent motorcycle. And this brings in all those goodies with that naked styling. So if you are into street fighters, if you are the kind of guy who wants to upgrade from a Pulsar, Duke or whatever, this is going to be a really, really great option. And if you're a girl doing this, well, the seat height is very friendly, the ergonomics are very friendly, so even you should have an easy time and a fun time riding this motorcycle. And that brings us to the price, 3.95 lakh ex-showroom. That is Aprilia pulling that trump card yet again with that pricing. I mean, the Japanese rivals, even with their new discounted prices and all of that, are still going to have a hard time. And even the single-cylinder rivals are going to have a hard time justifying why they are asking so much money without one cylinder, without that extra cylinder. So I think Aprilia yet again has a winner on their hands. They said with the RS457 that they want to limit it to 10,000 units. The motorcycle has already ridden past that in India. They have delivered a lot more than that. And I see even bigger numbers coming from the Tuono 457, because this is a stunning, stunning product. If I was a 20-something and wanting a street naked that could keep my parents happy, that could keep me happy on the road and on the track, this would be it.